Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine strolling through what used to be your favorite department store. A place bustling with shoppers, modern stuff. Now imagine finding out that directly beneath its foundations, centuries of human history, literally hundreds of lives were buried, just waiting to be uncovered. That kind of unexpected revelation forces you to stop and truly consider the deep layers beneath our everyday existence, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that sense of unexpected discovery, of looking beneath the surface, is precisely the spirit of our deep dive today. Our mission for you is to navigate this incredible stack of sources. I mean, from profound archaeological breakthroughs to the shifting sands of global power, the latest in space exploration, and even the intricate dance of our own health. We're here to distill the most important nuggets of knowledge, giving you that shortcut to being truly well-informed, with those aha moments and surprising facts that stick with you, helping you understand not just what is happening, but why it matters and its deeper implications.
Absolutely. We're casting a wonderfully wide net today. We're going from ancient grave sites unearthed beneath that British department store like we mentioned, to cutting-edge quantum computing discoveries in Japan. Then navigating complex geopolitical alliances that are, well, challenging the very fabric of the global order. We'll look at new climate challenges facing our planet and even peer into the vastness of our universe, understanding the latest in space tech. It's a comprehensive snapshot of our world right now, on September 2nd, 2025, and what's truly striking is how interconnected all these seemingly disparate threads ultimately are. So, let's start literally beneath our feet, back with that incredible story we hinted at in the intro. Our first major deep dive takes us to the United Kingdom, specifically to Gloucester, where Cotswold archaeology recently made a truly remarkable find. We're talking about 317 human skeletons unearthed beneath a former department store in King Square. This wasn't some remote, untouched area. This was part of a major urban revitalization effort called the City Campus Project. It really makes you wonder how much history is hidden just under our everyday cityscapes.
It really does. And this discovery is more than just a large number. It fundamentally rewrites our understanding of this specific urban space. While historical records offered hints of past activity, the sheer quantity of medieval and post-medieval skeletons points definitively to a large, potentially undocumented cemetery. What's compelling here is how significant this is for urban archaeology. It reveals that entire burial grounds can be lost to time and modern development, only to be rediscovered centuries later. The scale and, well, the remarkable preservation of these remains are providing an unprecedented window into the historical context of burial practices and community life in Gloucester.
Unbelievable is the word forensic anthropologist Cliff Bateman used to describe these findings, and I can completely see why. These aren't just old bones. They are undergoing extensive analysis right now by researchers. They're hoping to unlock secrets about the health, the diet, and even the geographical origins of the people interred there. Think about it. These skeletons can tell us about their daily lives, what they ate, what diseases they suffered from, and perhaps even where they came from. And it's not just the skeletons. Artifacts found alongside them are helping to piece together the societal and cultural practices of past lives in Gloucester. It's like a direct line to the people who walked those streets centuries ago, giving voices to individuals we never knew existed.
And this leads to an important insight for you, the listener. This excavation in King's Square offers a powerful model for future construction to integrate historical preservation. Every time a city plans to expand or revitalize, there's a chance they're building over centuries of history. This discovery underscores the critical importance of archaeological assessments in urban redevelopment. It's a powerful reminder of the unknowable past that lies hidden beneath our modern structures. Discussions are already underway, not just about the careful preservation of these findings, but also about the potential for the site to become an educational and tourism point of interest, truly transforming how a community connects with its origins.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Okay, so from the urban landscape of England, let's journey north to the rugged terrain of Norway, where a truly ancient cult site has been uncovered. Archaeologists in the Guldal Valley, central Norway, discovered a site dating back nearly 3,000 years ago to approximately 800 BCE, placing it firmly in the Bronze Age. What's incredible is how it was preserved. Frozen in time for millennia beneath layers of clay due to a massive landslide. It's as if nature decided to save this piece of history for us, encapsulating it perfectly.
It's amazing, isn't it? And this site offers entirely unique insights into prehistoric worship and communal activities in the region. Discovered during routine excavations for the E6 highway expansion, often how these things are found, the site revealed important artifacts, including elaborate burial structures, longhouses, which suggest both ceremonial and communal living spaces, right? And intricately carved stones. Han Bryn, she's an archaeologist from the NTNU, that's the Norwegian University of Science and Technology University Museum, believes these carvings are linked to cultic practices. So for you, this isn't just a collection of old objects, it's a window into the spiritual and social fabric of a Bronze Age community, showing us a highly organized society with rich, complex rituals in a time when we might assume life was much simpler.
Right, a real glimpse into their worldview. Now, for something that truly redefines our understanding of human history on a global scale, a jawbone, unearthed in the country of Georgia, in the Caucasus region. This isn't just any bone. It's a rare 1.8 million-year-old jawbone discovered at a site no larger than 2 parking spaces. Tiny site, huge implications. What's truly mind-boggling is that this find is poised to significantly alter our understanding of early human migration patterns out of Africa, pushing back the timeline by nearly 500,000 years.
It really is mind-boggling. The true insight here for you is that this jawbone from Georgia doesn't just push back a date. It fundamentally rewrites the entire narrative of humanity's initial global journey. Instead of a single dominant wave out of Africa, it suggests a more intricate, multidirectional flow, hinting that early Homo species were far more adaptable and adventurous. Initial analyses suggest this jawbone belongs to one of the earliest members of the Homo lineage, potentially Homo erectus or maybe a closely related species, known for their remarkable adaptability to various environments.
Right.
And the location in the Caucasus region itself was a strategic pathway connecting Europe and Asia, making it a logical entry point for these early hominins. This find, coupled with evidence of tools and controlled fire found alongside similar fossils, suggests these early humans engaged in sophisticated survival strategies, including social cooperation and resource sharing. That's a profound shift in our understanding of our own deep past.
Absolutely profound. So, transitioning from humanity's deep past to our complex present, let's pivot to the global chessboard, starting with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Diplomatic efforts, or maybe the lack thereof, remain a major story. Recent Alaska meetings saw Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump discuss potential direct talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. However, Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov confirmed no firm agreements were reached and U.S. proposals haven't materialized. It sounds like a persistent diplomatic deadlock, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and the core of that deadlock often circles back to Ukraine's potential North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, membership. That's the big one. This is a point of deep historical contention. Former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, who served from 2010 to 2014, has consistently reiterated his opposition to it, even warning it could lead to civil unrest within Ukraine.
Interesting.
Yeah, he highlights a commitment to European Union, or EU, integration, but criticizes Western European partners for what he perceives as condescension regarding Ukraine's economic difficulties during accession negotiations. For you, this illustrates that the conflict isn't just about military lines on a map. It's deeply rooted in competing visions for Ukraine's geopolitical identity and alignment.
And speaking of the EU, there was that comment from European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen about a potential EU troop deployment to Ukraine.
Right, which drew a pretty sharp rebuke from German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius. He publicly criticized her comments, asserting that the EU lacks the jurisdiction and competence for such decisions. And experts echoed that, saying detailed plans for troop deployment remain vague and premature, contingent on a ceasefire and legislative approvals in member states like Germany. So, lots of hurdles there.
Yeah, definitely seems premature. And the information environment surrounding the conflict remains incredibly complex, almost like a fog of war. For instance, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen's plane reportedly experienced suspected Russian Global Positioning System, or GPS, jamming while flying over Bulgaria. This incident sparked concerns about aviation safety and electronic warfare amid heightened Russia-EU tensions, with some experts suggesting Russia was testing international limits.
But then, the flight tracking service, Flight Terror 24, later debunked claims of severe signal blackouts. They stated the aircraft had good GPS quality and arrived only 9 minutes late, contrasting with initial reports.
So what does this tell us about navigating information in a politically charged world?
It tells us that verifying information with a critical eye is paramount, especially when narratives can be weaponized. The rapid debunking by Flight Radar 24 highlights how quickly claims can spread and how essential it is to seek out reliable, independent verification. For you, the listener, it underscores the need to remain skeptical of initial reports, particularly in high-tension environments, and to always look for data and sources that can offer a more complete picture. It's a microcosm of the challenges we face.
That's a crucial takeaway. Absolutely. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is scheduled to meet European leaders in Paris, France, to discuss strategies for negotiating peace and securing further support, over 3 years into Russia's invasion now. But on the home front, we're seeing signs of growing internal disillusionment in Ukraine. The assassination of far-right politician Andrei Peruvi in Lviv, Ukraine, highlights a deepening societal crisis. The accused, Mikhail Tselnikov, a grieving father whose son was killed in the conflict, stated his actions were driven by personal revenge against the state, not foreign intervention. He explicitly blamed the government for leading Ukraine into war, reflecting a significant shift in public sentiment toward seeking negotiations with Russia. This isn't just a localized crime, is it?
No, it's far from it. This incident is a stark indicator of the profound internal pressures building within Ukraine, fueled by the grinding nature of the war. For you, it signals that public support, while initially strong, can erode over time under the weight of sacrifice and loss. When a father takes such extreme action and articulates it as revenge against his own government, it suggests a dangerous level of public disillusionment that could significantly impact future policy decisions, including potential peace talks. It's a tragic example of how widespread conflict takes a deep, personal toll that can reshape national narratives from within.
And touching on NATO again, American economist Jeffrey Sachs recently argued that NATO has outlived its purpose, saying it was initially created to counter the Soviet Union.
Right. He asserted that its post-1990 expansion has become a mechanism for U.S. power expansion, exacerbating divisions in Europe without a legitimate security rationale. He also added that the belief in U.S. dominance is outdated in what he calls a multipolar world. We're just reporting his view here, of course.
Of course. And that multipolar world idea is a good transition. Shifting our gaze east, we're seeing the rise of exactly that, a global order where power and influence seem to be distributing among several major centers, moving away from, perhaps, a single dominant superpower. In this emerging landscape, China, India, and Russia are increasingly challenging U.S. dominance. Leaders from these three nations recently convened at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, summit in Tianjin, China, to formulate a collaborative strategy to counter the prevailing influence of the United States in global affairs.
And this shift is significant because it's not just rhetorical, it's manifesting in concrete actions. Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized the necessity for a new world order that transcends Western dominance, advocating for greater cooperation among SCO member states to ensure stability and security. He clearly highlighted China's leadership role and called for support for a balanced multipolar world, signaling a departure from the traditional unipolar international system. What's compelling here is how the SCO, once kind of dismissed by Western media, is now seen by some as a guiding blueprint for the global South, promoting sovereign development and a departure from Western-centric globalization. Discussions at the summit included a 2035 development program and a proposed SCO development bank to lessen reliance on Western financial systems, which is a clear move to create alternative financial structures.
Right, challenging the established order. And we saw a powerful visual representation of these strengthening ties. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un made a rare trip to China via bulletproof train to attend a military parade in Beijing commemorating the end of World War II. His presence alongside Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin signifies strengthening ties and potential trilateral discussions on military cooperation, economic collaborations, and strategic alignments against perceived Western hostility. Especially given North Korea's nuclear ambitions and support for Russia, it really puts a visual stamp on this emerging multipolar alignment, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. For you, this meeting isn't just a photo opportunity. It's a symbolic and strategic alignment that demonstrates a coordinated front against perceived Western pressures. Kim Jong-un's presence signals a willingness from these major powers to engage with and even legitimize regimes, often isolated by the West, further cementing the idea of a truly diversified global power structure. It suggests that these nations are actively seeking to create new alliances and pathways that operate outside the traditional frameworks.
And in that vein, Vietnam celebrated the 80th anniversary of its independence from French colonial rule with a grand military parade in Hanoi, showcasing national pride.
And notably, the presence of honor guards from China, Russia, Laos, and Cambodia signaled diplomatic ties and regional dynamics, again reflecting these shifting relationships.
Meanwhile, how are established Western powers responding to, say, China's growing economic influence? French and German economists urged the Franco-German Council of Ministers to acknowledge Europe's defeat in the solar power industry.
That's a strong word, defeat.
It is. And they urge them to strategically protect sensitive sectors like defense, space, and robotics against Chinese dominance.
They advocated a kind of technology for market strategy, encouraging Chinese investment, but with simultaneous technology sharing, while basically accepting cheap Chinese imports in mature industries like solar panels. It's a pragmatic, maybe even defensive approach.
Definitely pragmatic. Okay, now let's pivot to the Middle East, where, despite these wider geopolitical shifts, the humanitarian plight in Gaza continues to be absolutely dire. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, or IFRC, recently reported that severe famine conditions are now impacting not only the local population, but also humanitarian workers themselves in Gaza, threatening vital life-saving missions. Access to food, water, and medical care remains severely restricted due to ongoing conflicts.
The situation on the ground is truly catastrophic. For you, the listener, understanding the scale of this means grasping that this isn't just about general scarcity. It's a profound systemic collapse of basic necessities impacting everyone, including those trying to help. We saw a Gaza-bound flotilla carrying humanitarian aid, and hundreds of pro-Palestinian activists, including Greta Thunberg, embarked from Barcelona, Spain for a second time after strong winds thwarted its initial attempt. Their mission is to deliver crucial assistance and highlight the plight of people in Gaza. But even with these efforts, the situation remains desperate. We saw reports, and these are deeply disturbing reports, of Israeli military forces reportedly killing a pregnant woman and her unborn baby near the Shadi refugee camp in Gaza City during ongoing assaults. This incident was apparently part of broader attacks that resulted in 59 total deaths on that day alone, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis.
Awful. And these events have understandably generated global criticism, particularly regarding the role of the United States. A former diplomat labeled U.S. involvement in the Gaza conflict as not democratic, arguing the U.S. is exacerbating the situation by aligning with one side and lacking neutrality.
And furthermore, Noor Lassi, a Gaza survivor evacuated to Paris, France, asserted Western complicity and biased empathy towards Ukrainians over Palestinians, condemning the genocide in Gaza and calling for equal human rights recognition. These are powerful accusations that reflect a deep sense of injustice and perceived double standards, indeed. And it underscores a broader sentiment that the international community, particularly Western nations, are perceived by some as applying inconsistent standards for humanitarian crises, depending on the region and the actors involved. This criticism challenges the very moral authority of these nations and creates deep divisions in global public opinion. It suggests that until a more consistent and impartial approach is adopted, these accusations of complicity and biased empathy will continue to resonate deeply, particularly in the global South.
And we're seeing diplomatic shifts potentially reflecting these global pressures. Belgium's foreign minister, Maxime Prévost, announced that Belgium will formally recognize the state of Palestine during the upcoming United Nations, or UN General Assembly.
Right. This follows similar actions by France, the United Kingdom, and Canada, signaling a growing commitment, or at least a shift in stance, towards Palestinian statehood and pursuing peace in the region. It's a diplomatic trend that could have significant implications.
How so?
Well, it's a clear signal that a number of key international players are moving towards a more direct recognition of Palestinian statehood, diverging from the traditional U.S.-led approach of negotiating a two-state solution before recognition. For you, this means a potential shift in the diplomatic landscape, putting more pressure on other nations to follow suit and challenging the existing power dynamics in the peace process. It represents a concrete step by individual nations to alter the international standing of Palestine rather than waiting for a broader agreement.
Okay, that makes sense. Elsewhere in the Middle East, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the arbitrary detention of at least 11 UN staff members in Yemen by Houthi authorities.
Yeah, who also reportedly seized property from the World Food Program, or WFP, headquarters in Sana'a. Guterres demanded their immediate release, emphasizing that UN personnel must be protected. The conflict there, now in its 11th year, sees Houthis expanding actions to Red Sea shipping and targeting Israel as well. Just another layer of complexity.
And in a really dramatic move in international justice, France took a major step by issuing arrest warrants for Syria's ousted president, Bashar al-Assad, and 6 former officials.
This stems from a 2012 bombing in Homs, Syria, that killed 2 journalists. It signals a potential shift in France's approach, holding Assad accountable for wartime atrocities and actions against the press, even years later.
Bringing our focus closer to the Americas, tensions are certainly palpable. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro issued a stark warning, declaring he would mobilize a Republican arms if U.S. forces in the Caribbean were to attack Venezuela. He accused the U.S. of imperialistic intentions and seeking regime change, describing the U.S. military presence, which he claims includes 1,200 missiles, as the most significant threat to the region in a century.
Wow, 1,200 missiles. The U.S. government, for its part, maintains its military presence is solely for anti-drug trafficking efforts.
Right, so this highlights a deep distrust and rhetorical escalation between the two nations, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. For you, this illustrates a classic geopolitical standoff where conflicting narratives obscure the underlying realities. Maduro's rhetoric taps into a long history of U.S. intervention in Latin America, while the U.S. insists on its legitimate security interests. The key insight here is how such a disparity in claims 1,200 missiles versus anti-drug efforts creates an environment of profound mistrust and makes any de-escalation incredibly difficult. It's a dangerous game of brinkmanship.
Elsewhere, a strange story involving the African nation of Eswatini, which is under scrutiny for detaining 5 deported U.S. migrants without charge. Reports suggest Eswatini sought $500 million from the Trump administration.
Yeah, activists have raised concerns about human rights, lack of transparency in a secret agreement, and due process violations. Among the detainees is Jamaican national Orville Atoria, held for 7 weeks, apparently. It highlights broader questions about U.S. immigration policies and deportation agreements.
And finally, in the region, Guyana concluded its presidential election, with results expected soon. The election is crucial due to Guyana's rapidly growing oil industry, which has increased national revenue but also exacerbated socioeconomic disparities.
Plus, tensions with neighboring Venezuela over territorial aggression further complicated the political landscape there. International observers did praise the electoral process, though.
Let's turn to some domestic issues in the United Kingdom, starting with immigration again. The UK government announced a temporary suspension of new applications for refugee family reunification. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper stated this was part of a broader crackdown on immigration, aiming to establish more controlled and fair systems, a move spurred, apparently, by growing far-right sentiment and increasing asylum seeker pressures.
This is a very sensitive issue with significant human rights implications, as you can imagine. Refugee support organizations like Safe Passage and the Refugee Council severely criticized the move, warning it would endanger children and drive desperate refugees into the hands of traffickers. For you, this policy shift represents a tightening of immigration controls driven by domestic political pressures, but with potentially severe humanitarian consequences. While the government aims for controlled systems, critics argue it could simply lead to more desperation and illicit crossings.
Though Prime Minister Keir Starmer has emphasized the need to expedite asylum claims, and there's that new one-in, one-out pilot scheme with France aiming for reciprocal asylum seeker management, prioritizing family relief. So maybe some different approaches being tried too.
Right, trying to balance control with compassion, perhaps?
On a different note, Labour leader Keir Starmer expressed cautious support for the public display of flags as part of an online initiative called Operation Raise the Colors.
But he also issued a warning, didn't he? Acknowledging the multiplicity of perspectives and the potential for national symbols to elicit divisive reactions, emphasizing the need to balance community pride with inclusivity during a politically charged period, a careful line to walk.
Indeed. And in the legal sphere, Shabana Mahmood, the UK Justice Secretary, is taking steps to increase oversight of new legal rules by introducing a requirement for her approval before new legislation can take effect.
This essentially grants her the power to veto proposed sentencing guidelines, signaling a significant shift in power dynamics within the UK legal system. While advocates emphasize accountability and consistency, critics raise concerns about judicial independence.
And a local council story with potentially wider implications.
Yeah.
Epping Forest District Council in Essex, UK, is preparing to challenge a lower court decision regarding a controversial hotel development by appealing to the Supreme Court.
The council argues the development would have negative environmental and community impacts, highlighting broader tensions between development, local governance, and environmental or social interests, something we see played out in many places.
True. Finally, for the UK, Scotland's persistent drug death crisis. Recent reports indicate a slight decline in drug-related deaths, though experts caution this may be a temporary fluctuation. Scotland still faces the highest rate of drug deaths in Europe.
Yeah, experts attribute this crisis to complex factors, including socioeconomic issues, mental health challenges, homelessness, increasing drug potency, and lack of effective treatment options. It underscores the need for sustained, comprehensive strategies focusing on prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and addressing root causes like trauma and societal stigma.
Moving now to domestic dynamics within the United States, let's look at the economy first. CNN's data expert Harry Enten reported a significant shift in public opinion against former President Donald Trump's tariffs. He humorously compared the disapproval to college football pundits, criticizing a quarterback after a poor performance, indicating a growing, unifying consensus across demographics rejecting the economic consequences of Trump's trade war.
This is a crucial insight for understanding public sentiment. It tells you that even complex economic policies like tariffs, which might initially be popular as a form of protectionism, ultimately face backlash when their real-world economic consequences like higher prices for you, the consumer, or retaliatory measures become evident. The unifying consensus across demographics suggests that economic pain transcends traditional political divides, forcing even staunch supporters to reevaluate. It's a powerful lesson.
Trump himself later criticized India's trade relationship as one-sided due to high tariffs, particularly after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meetings with Russian President Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. So the trade rhetoric continues.
Absolutely.
And Labor Day, traditionally a time to honor workers, saw protests across the United States this year, specifically targeting former President Donald Trump and wealthy elites. These demonstrations reflected rising discontent among the working class over stagnant wages, lack of job security, and the concentration of wealth, issues arguably exacerbated by policies enacted during Trump's presidency. It signals a growing call for economic reform.
That's right. The core insight here is that these protests aren't just about political opposition. They represent a deep-seated frustration with systemic economic inequality. The fact that they specifically targeted wealthy elites suggests a recognition that the economic system itself, and not just specific policies, is perceived as unfair. This level of discontent among the working class suggests a growing pressure for fundamental changes.
Switching to crime, Chicago experienced a shocking surge of gun violence, with 54 individuals shot and 7 fatalities in just 1 week.
Yeah, former President Donald Trump criticized Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's handling of the crisis, calling for the deployment of the National Guard. Pritzker rejected this, though, emphasizing local community solutions and long-term strategies to address root causes like poverty and lack of opportunity, a familiar debate there.
And in a truly tragic incident, an 11-year-old boy lost his life after being shot while playing ding-dong ditch in East Houston, Texas. The homeowner who opened fire was charged with murder.
This shocking event sparked intense discussions about Texas's self-defense laws and the controversial castle doctrine, which allows homeowners to use deadly force against perceived threats within their home.
What are the broader implications of an incident like this for legal debates around self-defense?
This incident brings up profound questions about appropriate responses, the consequences of fear, and the legal limits of self-defense. For you, the listener, it highlights the incredibly fine line between protecting one's home and the tragic potential for disproportionate force, particularly when a child is involved. The castle doctrine, while intended to protect homeowners, becomes intensely scrutinized in cases like this, prompting debates about whether it encourages a shoot-first mentality or needs clearer boundaries regarding what constitutes a perceived threat. It forces a difficult societal conversation.
On a different note concerning high-profile figures, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who's 79, was hospitalized with a broken vertebra and other injuries after a car crash in Manchester, New Hampshire.
His spokesperson clarified it was not a targeted attack. The incident occurred hours after he was seen at a baseball game with a rumored girlfriend. And former President Trump announced plans to honor Giuliani with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award, amidst Giuliani's various legal and political challenges.
Politically, long-serving Democratic Representative Jerry Nadler announced he will not seek re-election in the upcoming midterms.
Nadler, a prominent figure of the old guard in the Democratic Party, stated it was time to pass the torch, creating a significant void in Manhattan politics and reflecting broader trends of long-standing politicians stepping back.
And a legal ruling. A federal judge ruled that the Trump administration's deployment of military troops in Los Angeles, California, violated federal law.
Specifically, deeming the use of the National Guard for domestic law enforcement purposes unlawful in that instance. This ruling emphasizes legal limitations on military involvement in civil matters and highlights ongoing tensions between federal and state governance.
Finally, on Trump administration moves, former President Donald Trump is apparently set to announce the relocation of the U.S. Space Command from Colorado to Alabama, a move that's been debated for a while.
Indeed. Contentious.
Moving beyond U.S. borders, let's look at some crime and justice stories unfolding globally. At the Burning Man Festival in Nevada, U.S. Authorities are investigating a homicide.
Yeah, a white adult male was found deceased in a pool of blood in the Black Rock Desert. Police urged vigilance among attendees, but the sheriff's office indicated it appeared to be an isolated incident. Still, quite shocking for that event.
Very. In the United Kingdom, the family of a woman killed by a long-term cannabis smoker expressed profound betrayal by the justice system after the perpetrator received a hospital order for manslaughter instead of a standard prison sentence.
This case is incredibly significant because it shines a spotlight on the complex interplay between mental health, substance use, and legal accountability. For you, the listener, the profound betrayal expressed by the family highlights a public hunger for clear justice and accountability, especially when there's a perceived leniency. It raises important questions about balancing rehabilitation with punishment and assessing diminished responsibility.
In Denmark, Henrik Sass Larsen, a former Danish member of parliament and trade minister, was sentenced to 4 months in prison for possessing over 6,000 child pornography photographs and 2,000 videos.
His defense, claiming he was gathering evidence related to his own childhood abuse, was dismissed by the jury in Copenhagen City Court. The case has drawn criticism regarding the leniency of the sentence and calls for stricter penalties in Denmark.
And back in the U.S., in Los Angeles, California, authorities recovered a deceased man, estimated to be around 35 years old, from MacArthur Park Lake. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death is ongoing.
In Cameroon, the judiciary system opened a new hearing in the murder case of journalist Martinez Zogo, known for his investigative journalism and critiques of the government. His death under suspicious circumstances earlier this year drew national and international attention, with activists demanding justice and transparency amidst claims of political interference. This hearing is seen as critical for press freedom in Cameroon.
Back to the UK, John Venables, infamous for the 1993 murder of 2-year-old James Bulger, is undergoing another parole review.
The case continues to be highly controversial, reigniting public interest and debate on rehabilitation, public safety, and justice for victims' families, especially given the heinous nature of the crime committed when he was just 10 years old.
And in France, renowned actor Gérard Depardieu was ordered by a judge to stand trial for charges of rape and sexual assault based on allegations made by fellow actor Charlotte Arnould concerning events in 2018.
Depardieu denies the allegations. This high-profile case contributes to broader discussions surrounding powerful figures and the #MeToo movement in the entertainment industry, following a previous suspended sentence for sexual assault Depardieu received in May.
Now let's look at some socioeconomic and political protests and policies abroad. In Serbia, thousands of students took to the streets of Belgrade in a silent march, protesting widespread corruption in the country.
This peaceful demonstration highlights growing frustration among youth, who are calling for immediate reforms and new elections amidst economic challenges and a lack of transparency from leaders.
In Indonesia, the country is facing significant unrest, with at least 20 individuals reported missing during protests over enhanced perks for lawmakers.
Yeah, the government announced increases to benefits, drawing criticism for being disproportionately high compared to local minimum wages. President Prabowo Subianto canceled a trip to China and vowed to retract the controversial perks, responding to widespread demonstrations and incidents like a paramilitary officer running over a delivery driver.
In a deeply concerning move from Burkina Faso, the ruling military junta enacted a law banning homosexuality, with prison sentences ranging from 2 to 5 years for offenders.
This amended family code received unanimous parliamentary approval and aligns with similar trends in over half of Africa's 54 nations. Human rights organizations are expected to strongly condemn this law, viewing it as a regression.
Yeah, definitely a setback for human rights there. In Ghana, President John Mahama dismissed the country's chief justice, a move that has sent ripples through Ghana's legal and political landscapes.
The dismissal, following pressure and controversy over judicial independence, raises questions about the balance of power and public trust in the judiciary there.
Finally, Malawi is preparing for competitive general elections on September 16th. This is a vital democratic exercise focusing on critical issues like poverty, corruption, and economic growth, drawing significant local and international attention. All right, moving now to our changing planet. Earth is facing urgent challenges, no doubt about it. Heavy rainfall has led to a flood alert in India's national capital region, particularly Delhi and Gurugram. The Yamuna River's water levels are dangerously close to the flood gauge. This caused significant waterlogging, traffic disruption, and concerns about infrastructure preparedness for these kinds of natural events. It's a stark reminder.
Indeed. This incident highlights a crucial challenge facing rapidly urbanizing regions globally. at the intersection of climate change and often inadequate infrastructure. For you, it underscores that extreme weather events aren't just isolated incidents. They expose vulnerabilities in urban planning and emergency response. The concern about the Yamuna River's levels, a major water source, further complicates the picture.
In the U.S., California faced another wildfire. A mandatory evacuation order was issued in Placerville, El Dorado County due to the Valley Fire, which had burned approximately 35 acres at the time of reporting. Just underscores the ongoing risk there, especially during dry conditions.
Absolutely, a constant threat.
And tragically, a devastating landslide in a remote mountainous village in Sudan reportedly resulted in the deaths of at least 1,000 people, according to claims by a rebel group.
The disaster, triggered by heavy rainfall, caused severe damage and overwhelmed local emergency response efforts, highlighting a significant humanitarian impact in a region already struggling. Verification of numbers in such remote areas can be difficult, but the scale seems immense.
And another natural disaster. A powerful 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Afghanistan, specifically Kunar and Nangarhar provinces, killing over 800 people and injuring thousands.
This is a truly catastrophic humanitarian disaster, made even more complex by political realities. Rescue efforts, led by helicopter teams, are complicated by rugged terrain, debris, and importantly, ongoing aid cuts. The Taliban government has urgently appealed for international assistance. For you, the listener, it emphasizes how natural disasters disproportionately impact regions already struggling with instability and limited resources. The aid cuts highlight that critical challenge: how to deliver aid effectively in sensitive environments.
Our planet's oceans are also facing a dire crisis. The Mediterranean Sea is facing what many are calling the most polluted sea in the world, with an estimated 34,000 plastic bottles entering it every minute.
Every minute. That statistic is just staggering. It provides such a powerful insight into the scale of our plastic problem. For you, this highlights that the Mediterranean isn't just a holiday destination. It's an ecological hotspot under immense pressure. The fact that it threatens marine life, local communities, and key industries like tourism and fishing illustrates the interconnectedness of environmental health and economic well-being. Urgent action needed.
On a more constructive note, in Senegal's Madam region, eco-friendly homes are emerging as a solution to climate-related challenges.
These innovative residences, built using locally sourced materials and traditional architectural styles, are designed to withstand harsh environmental conditions, providing sustainable living options and enhancing resilience against extreme temperatures and flooding. A positive adaptation story.
And relating to climate policy, developing countries, represented by the G77 plus China group, are advocating for critical minerals like copper, cobalt, lithium, nickel, essential for green tech, to be included in the definition of just transition at the upcoming COP30 climate talks in Brazil. COP30 is the 2025 United Nations Climate Change Conference.
This is a really important policy insight. The term just transition typically refers to ensuring workers and communities aren't left behind as we move away from fossil fuels. But for you, the listener, this expanded definition means acknowledging that the extraction of critical minerals for green tech also has social and environmental costs, particularly in developing nations. By including it, the G77 plus China group aims to create local jobs, boost government revenues, and develop domestic processing industries while mitigating environmental degradation and worker exploitation. It's a proactive step towards equity in the green transition.
And speaking of green tech challenges, India's off-grid energy lab successfully raised $15 million to develop safer and more cost-effective alternatives to lithium-based energy storage, focusing on proprietary zinc battery technology.
This initiative aims to mitigate the environmental and economic challenges associated with lithium extraction and battery disposal. So, innovation addressing the downsides of current green tech.
Now let's shift our gaze entirely and look to the stars and the cosmic horizon. A recent space photo of the day featured a breathtaking view from below SpaceX's Raptor engines.
Yeah, highlighting their intricate design and powerful engineering. These engines are critical to SpaceX's ongoing missions and symbolize the company's commitment to innovation in private spaceflight, pushing humanity beyond Earth.
And thinking about living beyond Earth, water recycling is a critical component of life on the International Space Station, or ISS.
It enables astronauts to sustain themselves during long missions. A sophisticated closed-loop water recovery system converts wastewater, even sweat and urine, into clean drinking water, minimizing the need for resupply missions.
This is more than just a clever trick, right? It's fundamental for deep space exploration.
Absolutely. For you, this shows that for humanity to truly travel to Mars or establish lunar bases, we cannot rely on constantly shipping water. The ability to reclaim nearly 98% of all water on board the ISS highlights the ingenuity required for self-sufficiency. This system is a direct precursor to life support for long-duration missions.
And speaking of planets, Mercury is making a prominent, yet elusive appearance right now. On September 2nd, 2025, it's appearing in the early morning sky alongside the bright star Regulus.
A rare celestial event offering stargazers a unique chance to witness Mercury low on the eastern horizon shortly before dawn, a nice reminder of our dynamic solar system.
And speaking of dynamics, on September 3rd, astronomers are said to observe asteroid 2025 QDB. It's roughly the size of a commercial jet, and it's passing just over half the distance between Earth and the Moon.
Close shave. Live streaming will allow worldwide viewing of this fascinating event, emphasizing ongoing interest in and monitoring of near-Earth objects, or NEOs, due to their potential impact risks. You got to keep an eye out.
We do. Closer to home, the northern lights, the aurora borealis, were potentially visible across large areas of the UK on Monday night.
And the Met Office predicted an even stronger display on Tuesday night due to increased solar activity. This rare natural phenomenon, caused by solar particles interacting with Earth's atmosphere, delights observers and serves as a beautiful reminder of our planet's connection to solar dynamics.
Beautiful. And back to space tech. Magnets might be key for future oxygen systems on the Moon and Mars.
Right. A new study suggests that magnetic fields could revolutionize oxygen system design. By replacing heavy, bulky centrifuges with magnetic technology, engineers could create lighter, more efficient systems, streamlining spacecraft design and enhancing mission capabilities.
That's a potential game changer for spacecraft design. Weight is everything in space travel.
Exactly. Every gram counts. Replacing heavy centrifuges with lightweight magnetic systems reduces launch costs and frees up valuable space and power. This kind of innovation directly translates into more ambitious missions.
Now, for mapping distant worlds, astronomers have developed the Starry Process model. Quite a name.
It is. It enhances the study of exoplanets by mapping stellar spots, sunspots on other stars with unprecedented precision. Using data from NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, and the Kepler Space Observatory, this model helps refine knowledge about planetary atmospheres and conditions conducive to life by accounting for how star spots distort light signals from orbiting planets, getting a clearer picture.
And NASA tech is helping us right here on Earth, too. NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, has successfully transitioned advanced weather technology to commercial industry.
They integrated its miniaturized atmospheric sounder originally developed for tropics, that's time-resolved observations of precipitation structure and storm intensity, with a constellation of small sats into commercial satellites, like those from tomorrow.io.
Okay, so what does that do?
It provides more precise data on humidity, temperature, and wind speed from low Earth orbit, significantly improving severe weather warnings and enhancing air travel and shipping operations. Real-world benefits.
Fantastic. And for the really big questions, NASA is advancing single-photon sensing CMOS detector technology. CMOS stands for Complementary Metal Oxide Semiconductor.
A NASA-sponsored team is making significant strides. This advancement is poised to support upcoming NASA missions, specifically the Habitable Worlds Observatory, or HWO, aimed at discovering faint biosignatures in exoplanet atmospheres, crucial for the search for extraterrestrial life.
Biosignatures, signs of life. This technology is key then.
Absolutely critical. For you, the listener, the ability to detect single photons means we can pick up incredibly faint signals from distant exoplanets, allowing us to analyze their atmospheres with unprecedented precision. The search for things like oxygen or methane becomes vastly more feasible. These sensors are a cornerstone of that profound quest.
And just quickly, for skywatchers this September 2025, NASA points out spectacular views of Saturn, which reaches opposition on September 21st, closest and brightest.
Also a conjunction of the Moon, Venus, and Regulus on September 19th before sunrise, and the autumnal equinox is on September 22nd. Lots to look up for.
All right, diving into the pulse of modernity now. Let's start with corporate governance and economic trends. Nestlé dismissed its CEO, Laurent Freixe, following the revelation of an undisclosed romantic relationship with a direct subordinate.
This decision, aimed at maintaining high ethical standards and integrity, reflects a broader corporate trend of scrutinizing leadership behavior and adherence to workplace policies, especially concerning relationships between higher management and employees.
It seems like there's less tolerance for this kind of thing now.
Definitely. It provides a clear insight into the evolving landscape of corporate ethics. For you, the listener, it highlights the increasing expectation for transparency and accountability at the highest levels. An undisclosed relationship, particularly with a subordinate, can create conflicts of interest, undermine morale, and raise fairness questions. Nestle's swift action underscores this trend.
Another CEO exit. The CEO of Suntory, the Japanese drinks company known for Jim Beam whiskey, resigned amidst an ongoing police investigation into the potential purchase of legal supplements.
This incident raises questions about compliance, company ethics, and the increasing scrutiny major corporations face regarding regulatory adherence. Reputation matters.
On the restructuring front, Kraft Heinz announced a significant plan to split into two separate entities, a decade after their monumental merger.
This move aims to separate core products like hot dogs from ketchup, allowing for more focused management and tailored strategies for each brand to innovate and refine their portfolios in a competitive food industry, undoing a massive merger.
And McDonald's is expanding its value menu with discounted combo meals, including a $5 muffin and an $8 Big Mac extra value meal available nationwide.
This is a fascinating insight into consumer behavior and market strategy in a challenging economic climate. For you, McDonald's move isn't just about selling more burgers. It's a strategic response to widespread inflation and the squeeze on consumer income. Re-emphasizing value aims to capture budget-conscious diners, potentially signaling a broader price war.
In the UK, the economy is facing heightened challenges as interest rates on 30-year government bonds reach their highest level since 1998, indicating rising borrowing costs.
For you, this signals a classic macroeconomic concern. Rising government borrowing costs indicate investor worries about financial stability and future economic health. When rates rise dramatically, it means investors demand higher returns, often due to inflation or fiscal instability concerns. This makes government financing more expensive, can raise mortgage rates, and stifle private investment.
Yet, despite uncertainties, France seems to remain attractive to investors. Goldman Sachs, through its Paris co-head Céline Marie Michet, emphasized that France continues to be appealing despite political uncertainty surrounding the upcoming no-confidence vote for Prime Minister François Bayrou.
French domestic stocks have responded positively, apparently, and merger and acquisition, or M&A, activity has increased, suggesting investor confidence in the French market remains fairly robust.
Although there's some friction within the EU, Italy officially rebutted allegations made by French Prime Minister François Bayrou, who accused the nation of engaging in fiscal dumping, using low taxes to attract international businesses.
Italy insists its tax policies enhance competitiveness, highlighting sensitivities and competitive dynamics within the EU as nations strive for economic recovery. A bit of internal rivalry there.
And within France itself, the country has witnessed an unprecedented increase in its national savings rate.
This reflects deep concerns among French citizens over future economic stability, inflation, and potential downturns. This shift could lead to decreased consumer spending, potentially stunting economic growth, and signals a lack of confidence in the economic climate. People are saving, not spending.
Linked to that, perhaps, rising back-to-school costs are causing a considerable financial burden for many French families this year, attributed to global supply chain disruptions and inflation. Impacts students' readiness and sparks calls for more family support.
Absolutely, real-world impacts.
Back in the U.S., the deadline for the $7,500 federal tax credit for electric vehicle, or EV, buyers has been extended beyond September.
This aims to provide buyers with additional time to qualify for the incentive, crucial for making EV purchases more affordable and sustaining sales momentum towards cleaner transportation solutions, keeping the EV push going.
In fintech news, Klarna Group, the prominent Swedish company known for buy now, pay later services, has revived its initial public offering, or IPO plans, aiming to raise $1.27 billion.
This decision comes amidst fluctuating market conditions, including significant trade tensions and economic uncertainty due to U.S. tariffs, but reflects a cautious optimism about market stabilization, testing the waters for a big IPO.
And a major cybersecurity incident. Jaguar Land Rover, or JLR, faced significant production disruptions due to a cyber attack that forced the company to shut down its IT systems and send staff home.
This incident with JLR is a stark reminder for you that cyber attacks aren't just data breaches. They can directly impact physical operations, production lines, entire workforces. The auto industry, with its complex supply chains, is particularly vulnerable, highlights the urgent need for robust cybersecurity.
And a music industry dispute. Sting, the former lead singer of The Police, is facing a legal battle from two ex-bandmates claiming $1.5 million in backdated royalties.
This lawsuit highlights common financial disputes in the music industry regarding artist agreements and revenue sharing, attracting significant media attention due to Sting's high profile. Always about the money, eventually.
Turning our attention now to the frontiers of innovation and technology. TechCrunch Disrupt 2025 is gearing up in San Francisco, U.S. as a landmark gathering for the startup ecosystem.
Astor Teller, known as the captain of moonshots and head of Alphabet's X Lab, will be a notable speaker. He'll share insights on risk-taking, visionary ideas, and the intersection of technology and ethics, especially concerning artificial intelligence, or AI, and privacy.
That sounds fascinating. His focus is on truly audacious projects, right?
Exactly. Not just incremental improvements. His insights on risk-taking and AI ethics are crucial as tech advances so rapidly. The event's focus on alternative funding techniques also reflects shifts in startup finance, showing how entrepreneurs adapt to bring disruptive ideas to life.
On the hardware front, Lenovo introduced the Legion Tab Gen 3 Android tablet, now available at an all-time low price of $399. A compact device offering powerful features for gaming and multitasking. Reflects strong market interest in portable devices.
And speaking of devices, an interesting reflection on leasing the BMW i4, an all-electric vehicle, revealed a mixed bag of admiration and disappointment.
Oh, how so?
Well, while praising its engineering and performance, the user found the interior lacked intuitiveness, connectivity issues were challenging, and real-world efficiency was below expectations. Raises questions about the value proposition in the electric luxury car segment, not quite perfect yet.
Interesting feedback. In software, Google's Gmail and Google Chrome for Android are set to receive comprehensive updates with the Material 3 expressive design.
Aims to provide more vibrant and user-friendly interfaces. Reflects Google's ongoing efforts to modernize its apps with fresh aesthetics and improved usability, keeping things looking new.
And in a surprising move from the creator economy, Jimmy Donaldson, widely known as Mr. Beast, the most subscribed creator on YouTube with over 427 million subscribers, is reportedly planning to launch a phone company.
This move is fascinating. It highlights the immense power and diversified influence of modern digital creators. For you, Mr. Beast's venture isn't just about a new phone. It's a masterclass in direct consumer brand extension, leveraging unparalleled audience engagement. It suggests creators can disrupt traditional industries.
Leveraging that massive fan base. Meanwhile, a controversial tech story. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has reactivated its contract with Paragon Solutions, an Israeli spyware firm.
This comes amidst ongoing debates about privacy and civil liberties. This controversial move raises alarms about potential negative implications for immigrant rights and national security standards, especially given Paragon's past controversies involving misuse of its spyware for surveillance. Very sensitive.
And Tesla's fourth master plan, released in September 2025, has stirred some controversy.
Yeah, for its perceived vagueness and over-reliance on artificial intelligence, or AI, promises. Critiques highlight investor restlessness for tangible progress and suggest the plan neglects the core EV business, contrasting with the clearer goals of previous plans. Maybe too much hype, not enough substance.
Possibly. Finally, in truly groundbreaking physics, researchers in Japan discovered heavy electrons exhibiting remarkable behavior, including entanglement near room temperature.
This is an absolutely massive breakthrough for quantum computing. For you, the listener, the insight is that maintaining quantum states like entanglement at extremely cold temperatures is a huge hurdle.
Near absolute zero, usually.
Exactly. Discovering this near room temperature offers a potential pathway toward developing quantum computers that can operate at much more feasible temperatures. This could dramatically accelerate the timeline for powerful, accessible quantum computation, impacting everything from drug discovery to material science. Huge potential.
Now let's turn to culture, arts, and entertainment. The latest live-action trailer for Borderlands 4, the sci-fi video game series, is out, titled The Rocket is Your Savior. Invites players to abandon Earth for escapades in its fantastical universe. Showcases the game's trademark humor and style.
In music, acclaimed Detroit DJ and producer Jeff Mills will showcase his unique approach. Tomorrow Comes the Harvest at the Jazz à la Villette Festival in Paris, France. He discussed his commitment to musical freedom, his love for France, and his embrace of artificial intelligence, AI, as a tool to push creative boundaries.
Interesting. AI in DJing. At the Venice Film Festival, Jude Law made headlines by portraying a Kremlin leader.
sparked discussions on the influence of film in shaping perceptions about political figures and the role of actors in political discourse, connecting cinema with contemporary issues, art imitating life or influencing it.
The Labubu craze, remember the trendy product. It's unintentionally led to the emergence of a shadow market for counterfeit versions known as Lafufu.
This phenomenon provides a tangible insight into the darker side of viral consumer trends. For you, it illustrates how quickly success can be mimicked, creating challenges for original creators. Highlights the constant battle against intellectual property infringement.
In sports, two-time champion Naomi Osaka made a stunning return to competitive tennis, defeating third seed Coco Gauff at the U.S. Open.
A victory marking Osaka's most impressive performance since her return, showcasing her skills and resilience, and capitalizing on Gauff's momentary uncertainties during critical points. Great comeback story.
Also at the U.S. Open, a CEO named Piotr Shurek publicly apologized for a huge mistake after misinterpreting a gesture from tennis player Kamil Makrizak and snatching his hat.
The incident went viral, sparking discussions about sportsmanship, social media's impact on public perception, and responsibilities in public settings. A cautionary tale about public behavior.
Sadly, Graham Greene, the acclaimed First Nations actor known for his Oscar-nominated role in Dances with Wolves, passed away at the age of 73.
His work was celebrated for bringing representation to Indigenous people in Hollywood and leaving a lasting impact on the industry, a significant loss.
On a brighter note, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is receiving significant accolades and potential Oscar buzz for his performance in the new film, The Smashing Machine, which premiered at the Venice Film Festival.
Critics cite this MMA-themed role as a major transformation, showcasing his dramatic depth and emotional range, moving beyond action hero roles.
Social trends now. The tradwife phenomenon is gaining attention, raising critical discussions about women's agency in 2023.
The trend questions whether it represents a progressive choice for women to define their lives on their terms, or if it perpetuates a nostalgic view of gender roles that feminism has challenged. For you, it forces a re-examination of choice and empowerment, highlighting how younger generations grapple with identity and purpose.
In comedy, Marcus Birdman and Melinda Mukuma, a couple who met on Instagram during lockdown, are bringing their show Algorithm and Blues to Paris. Their act features fearless and witty exchanges about their relationship.
In fashion, Chloe Mao, at just 39, has been appointed as the new top editor of American Vogue, a significant change for the prestigious publication, promising a fresh perspective amidst digital transformation and calls for diversity.
A documentary is exploring the Bilbao effect, using the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, as an example of how cultural investment instigated urban revitalization in a city previously suffering economic decline.
Arab architect and filmmaker Ibrahim Imam narrates the transformation and questions the replicability of this effect in other cities. Can culture really save a city?
And for food lovers, author Chris Newens offers a delectable exploration of Parisian cuisine in his new book, Movable Feasts, Paris in 20 Meals. Each meal serves as a narrative thread, weaving together flavors, history, and culture. Makes you hungry just thinking about it. Finally, let's turn our attention to health and well-being, starting with some breakthroughs in medical science. Recent research has unveiled a remarkable discovery that could address safety issues related to food dyes.
The study offers a potential solution, likened to a magnifying glass, allowing for enhanced detection of hazardous substances in food coloring, a timely breakthrough aligning with increased consumer demand for safer food products.
Good news there. And for older adults, new research reveals that a single dose of the respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, vaccine provides a surprising 2-year shield.
This significantly decreases hospitalization and severe illness across 2 consecutive seasons. This is critical for public health strategies. For you, the listener, the insight is the impressive duration of protection. 2 years from one shot can dramatically lower hospitalizations and streamline vaccination efforts.
In the ongoing fight against obesity, a new compound with a quadruple action mechanism targeting GLP-1, GIP, glucagon, and PYY shows potential for weight loss outcomes comparable to bariatric surgery. We're talking roughly 30% body weight reduction, but without invasive procedures.
This is a genuinely transformative advancement. For you, the insight lies in the multi-pronged approach. Hitting 4 metabolic pathways seems to achieve efficacy comparable to surgery, but without the risks. A significant leap forward, offering hope for millions.
And in a promising development for neurological diseases, new research suggests a link between olfactory signals, our sense of smell, and Alzheimer's pathology.
This connection is incredibly significant because early detection is paramount. For you, the listener, the insight is that changes in your sense of smell could serve as an early biomarker, a kind of canary in the coal mine, signaling the onset long before cognitive symptoms appear. This offers hope for earlier treatment.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta also reflected recently on his research into chronic pain, emphasizing it as a neurological experience rooted in brain function.
Right. He advocates for a multifaceted approach, including medical interventions and psychological strategies, and discusses innovative advancements like bespoke brain implants for long-term relief, offering hope to those suffering.
Now, looking at global health crises and public debates, the World Health Organization, or WHO, reported that over 1 billion people globally grapple with mental health conditions, urging immediate action.
Disorders like anxiety and depression are imposing massive economic burdens, nearly $1 trillion annually in lost productivity. The crisis is exacerbated by factors like social media use. 28% of mental health pros attribute significant challenges to it: political unrest, climate change, and isolation.
That's a staggering number, over 1 billion people.
It truly is. For you, the listener, the insight is that mental health isn't just individual, it's societal, with profound economic costs. Interestingly, older generations appear to be experiencing improved mental health, while younger generations struggle, highlighting a generational divide and unique modern pressures.
Finally, a significant public health debate has emerged in the U.S. Former directors of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, expressed deep concerns about Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., claiming his actions endanger public health.
In an open letter, they criticized his recent decisions related to vaccine accessibility and management within the agency. This signals a profound split between experienced public health leadership and the current health secretary.
What's the core concern?
For you, the listener, the concern raised is that restrictive policies on vaccine accessibility and agency management could directly hinder vaccination efforts and pose significant risks to public safety. It's a debate about the fundamental principles of public health policy, evidence-based decision-making, and maintaining public trust in a polarized environment.
And that, my friends, is another incredible deep dive into the stories shaping our world. Wow. From ancient bones rewriting human migration narratives to groundbreaking quantum computing discoveries. From the intricate geopolitical chess games playing out globally to the quiet brilliance of space exploration, it's clear our world is a vibrant, complex tapestry woven tighter than we often realize.
Yeah, what stands out here is how each of these stories, whether it's that archaeological find in Gloucester or, a new economic strategy in the EU, contributes to a larger interconnected picture. For you, the learner, understanding these threads allows you to not just know more, but to understand why it matters and how to critically assess the constant flow of information you encounter daily. It's about building that robust framework for comprehending the world beyond just the headlines.
As we've seen today, our history is constantly being rewritten. Our present is a dynamic interplay of power, progress, and persistent challenges, and our future. Well, it's a blend of human ingenuity and environmental urgency. Given how quickly new information emerges and how much is still hidden beneath the surface, both literally in the ground and figuratively in the complex layers of global events, what responsibility do we all have to continually seek out these deep dives, to question assumptions, and to truly understand the world unfolding around us?